The following is a presentation of the Olmsted County Democratic Farmer Labor Party and was produced by volunteers. We'd like to welcome you to the first of what we hope will be a series of programs in which we talk with public servants from the Rochester area. Our first conversation is with Kim Norton, who serves as a state representative in the Minnesota House. Olmsted DFL Communications Committee member Jennifer Harvlin sat down for an interview with Representative Norton in March of 2010.
You represent District 29B, which encompasses most of the northern half of the Rochester area. Thanks for sitting down with us. You were elected in 2006, and probably the top two things that come up when you Google your name are the radon legislation and the seatbelt public safety stuff. I know that the radon legislation was actually driven first by a conversation that you had with a constituent. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I was actually out door knocking, and when people aren't there, I will leave a piece of literature saying I stopped by and you weren't here, and leave my phone number on there. And a gentleman actually followed up and told the story of having built a brand new home, had just moved in, had it tested for radon, and it was at a dangerous level, and how upset he was as a brand new homeowner that had invested everything he had into this home that was, in his mind, damaged. And so as we talked, and I worked with public health because I wasn't a legislator at the time, I learned that radon is in fact the leading cause of lung cancer outside of smoking. So for non-smokers, it's a leading cause of lung cancer, and that it's rather prevalent in this area, high radon, and because of our geology. So I studied the issue a little bit, talked with public health. They suggested that it really needed to be done at the state level, that they did have radon testing and that sort of thing at the county level, but that the funding was limited. So when I became a legislator, I took that issue up and worked with the EPA and the World Health Organization and some other groups that have been studying this for a long time. And so I had really the luck of having the Builders Association of Minnesota support the legislation, and they had not been necessarily supportive in the past, but because of some mold and other issues that they were dealing with, we could find a solution that dealt with multiple problems. And so my legislation with radon-resistant new construction, which is all new homes now will be built radon-resistant in the state of Minnesota, also helped them take care of the mold issue that they were having as well. So we're very lucky, and Amy Klobuchar is now taking the issue up in Congress. So it's very exciting.
There's an award over here in the corner for some seatbelt legislation that you introduced. Can you talk a little bit about where that came from and also about the new driver regulations that you helped to put in place?
Several years ago, I started with the teen graduated driver's license issue, and it was because of the accident of a local constituent that I did the research. And learned that we were having more teenage deaths than we needed to, and that most states had moved forward with the graduated driver's license legislation that restricted teens from driving with other teens in the car in the hours, very late hours, and that they were having a good return on that law. And so I sought to do that here in Minnesota. We passed that legislation, and then the next year, the primary seatbelt, which had been attempted for many, many years and had never been able to move in the House, one of the other legislators asked if I would take that initiative. And since I'd already done a lot of the research on traffic safety and really believed that wearing seatbelts and having primary seatbelt legislation would lower deaths in our state, I took that on as well. And so I was extremely pleased at the end of session to have that pass. And then the best news of all was when they looked at the data this year, and we had the lowest traffic death rate since 1944, since records were really kept. So to have those kind of results just makes the work all worthwhile.
Last year, you worked to give local school districts the right to decide when to start their school year.
Indeed. I'm taking it on again this year.
And you are. Okay,
yes. This year, we're actually going to put in bill form the legislation that we tried to pass last year on the floor as an amendment, and that is schools will be given the flexibility to start before Labor Day if they so choose, but that also they would guarantee that they wouldn't hold school on the Thursday or Friday before the Labor Day weekend. So it would guarantee a 5-day weekend, which hopefully it will help support the resort industry's concerns and fears that somehow that long weekend will be hurt. The business will be hurt by a pre-Labor Day start, and also the state fair, which is also concerned about having an impact on attendance. And so I think with guaranteeing that 5-day weekend, it's not perfect, but hopefully it'll be a win-win and we can gain it. And we just need 3-4 more votes this year, and we could allow districts to start whenever they want.
So what drove that for you, extending the length of the school year?
Well, part of it is a local control issue. School districts should be allowed to do what works best for their students and their district. So part of it is local control. We also know that for ACT testing and other tests, our students have less time to prepare for those because the test is at a mandated time. Some of the college exams, the ACTs, the SATs are given at a certain time of the year, as well as AP exams. Our kids don't have as much time to prepare for those as other students if they were given that week earlier in the year rather than the week after the test is taken. So there's academic reasons as well as local control reasons for doing this.
This concludes the first part of our interview with Representative Norton. We hope you'll join us for part 2.